First off, I'd like to start off just from our organization's perspective of thanking Brian Dumoulin and Jason Zucker for their contributions to the club. Obviously, I wasn't here with them, but even in the month I've been here, it's been apparent the impact both have made, not only on the hockey club and on those inside the facility, but also in the community. Obviously, Brian was a member of 2 championship teams here. Jason Zucker came in and had a great season last year, and I think even from afar you could tell he made a huge impact on the community. So we'd be remiss not to thank them for everything that they did for the city of Pittsburgh and the Penguins organization. Moving on from that point, we've got 6 signings that are complete and done. Tristan Jarry re-signing for 5 years. Ryan Graves, left defenseman, signing for 6. Noel Achari, right center, right wing, 3 years. Alex Nedeljkovic, 1 year, goaltender. Matt Nieto, winger, 2 years, and Lars Eller, center for 2 years. We went in to free agency. I think when we talked last year in this room, not wanting to overextend ourselves and make subtle bets on the forward front and address one of the needs we had with the Riley Smith trade, and then the rest of the needs we felt in free agency on shorter term deals, give these players an opportunity here with us and let them fill the needs that we had, which we identified as a staff and worked through together. And then the Graves signing was also an attempt. He's one of the younger players in free agency. Obviously played a massive role in New Jersey, faced very difficult matchups there. Had a chance to see him there, and then also in Colorado. Very impressed with him, and think he complements what we have on our right side very well with Chris and Jeff Petrie. So we're very excited about that. We're still working away here, and we'll be here through the night and into tomorrow. More on depth signings to specifically AHL centers. Hopefully a center that can battle for that 4 or 5 spot with us here, provide competition there, and then AHL wingers and someone to run our power play and be depth at the AHL level on that front. So that's where we're at, and I still think we're also a goaltender short as well, and trying to plan out as best we can. So that's where we're at this point, and on that note, I'll turn it over to any questions anyone may have about what we've done or what we may plan to do.
Kyle, you signed Tristan Jarry. Clearly a talented player, 2-time All-Star. At the same time, he's dealt with significant injuries the past 2 years, hasn't experienced much playoff success. What gave you comfort to extend such a substantial contract into him?
Yep, I think for me it's looking at the whole sample. So when you go back a number of years, I think Tristan's played the 6th most games in the league and won the 5th most, I think, in the last 3 seasons. And so I think the injury stuff. I don't want to make it more pronounced than it was, because even with the injuries, he still played 49 games this year, which is a credit to Tristan. But it started with the freak thing going into the playoffs 2 years ago with Anders Lee kind of falling on him, and I think it just it was one thing kind of rolls into the other with it. But he still played through it and was able to still play well. I mean, I think he would be the first to tell you he wants to continue to be better, and I think his sample shows that he's capable of being better, and 2 of the previous 3 seasons to that being an all-star. So I just think that the larger sample may be comfortable, but I think more importantly than that, Seth, just the view of the people in the facility, in the room, and then with myself getting to know Tristan. And so that was what made me comfortable to go down that path with him, and I think it's been made very clear to him what my expectations are in terms of him continuing to be in great shape, put himself in a position to be as healthy as possible, continue to play the number of games that he has, and with what I learned from he and meeting with his wife Anna in Edmonton, I was very comfortable with that he was going to be able to hold up his end of the bargain and continue to get better for us. So and at his age as well, with him looking at the marketplace, we just felt it was the best bet to make for our club at this time. Sorry.
Is that better back?
There we go.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor, go ahead. You mentioned being a goaltender is short. You also do have Casey under contract. Can you speak more about the plans for the roles of the goaltenders?
Sure.
Is there a chance Casey gets sent down to Wilkes-Barre or moved? Or?
I think if you look to looking around the league, I think, and this was a great example here last year, but I think it's something that's becoming more regular in the league, is that you need, there's a lot of injuries in the position. I think the demands of the position, the way that it's changed, the way the goaltenders play it, makes it more demanding. There are very few goalies that go through the year without an injury, and if you don't have the depth there built up and you don't have a system in place, you can really leave yourself shorthanded. So I just feel like we got Joel Bloomquist, who's going to be there. We have Taylor Gauthier that are down, that are going to be there, like in the minors for sure, because they just need the time. But subsequent to that, I do think we need one more kind of solid veteran guy, and then let everyone come in here in training camp and let it fly. I think the competition is an important thing for the group as well, in addition to pushing Tristan and showing that we have suitable people there. I think regardless of what the contract status of the players is, we need to build that competition up and also protect our depth and give our team the best chance to win every night. And goaltending is the one place where you especially need that depth.
Matt?
Hey Kyle, I got a two-parter.
Sure.
One, do you anticipate, I know you just mentioned looking for another goalie, but do you anticipate, like, by and large, this will be the team you bring to camp, or are you still exploring the trade market? And then also just give us a sense of how this day played out, because I know you said you weren't sure what it would look like in terms of how the market would unfold.
Sure.
And from our perspective, it felt pretty frenzied.
So the first question, I'd love to make that prediction now about what the team will look like on September 20th or whatever day we officially open, but I think we're open to anything that can continue to improve the team. Anyone that we add from this point on, especially in trade, I'd like it to be someone that will potentially be here for the long run. And I think it's incumbent on me to search every avenue that's there. I'd be surprised if it was much different, but you never know. So it's easy for me to say yes or no right now. I just think it's fairly unpredictable, and there's a lot of pieces to continue to be moved around the board. So that's my view of it on that front with regards to what the team will look like. And then can you repeat your second question? Oh, the way the day went. I think it's really interesting because we were very focused on the goaltending piece, obviously, with Tristan and what was going to happen there and his status and situation. And then the rest of it for us just kind of unfolded as we went here today. You try to sit back a little bit and try to get a sense of where it's going to go, knowing we had the cap room to make those subtle more bets that we had talked about. I don't think it really felt frenzied. I thought that the group in the office was very organized. The pro scouting staff was very organized. The staff on the management side was really well organized and kind of had our targets identified. Once we started the day, we just kind of went through all those players and were able to kind of say, hey, here's what we're willing to do, and with relationships good enough with the agents, get answers back fairly quickly, and then get those contracts kind of turned around here later in the day. So it didn't feel overly frenzied to us inside. I don't know what it was like on the other side of the arena, but it felt kind of like a normal day at this stage of the year.
Ron?
Hey Kyle, I have two. One,
Maybe ask them one at a time so I don't forget now.
Yes.
I'm sitting up here like the wheels are turning. I'm trying to remember what the second one was.
first,
I'll remember that you have a second question. And I'll tell you. Thanks.
okay.
Yeah.
First one is with regards to Jari. Were you always looking at this type of term? Was it one of those situations where you could maybe get a more agreeable cap number by going longer?
Well, I think that there's a perpetual battle between the team and the player side, especially when a player comes to their mid-late 20s. They're largely looking, save for a few, exceptions, they're largely looking for term, and the team is always looking to keep the term short. And so once you fight that part of it, and then you get onto the AAV. So this just felt like the right mixture, which addressed the concerns of both parties, and the right fit on both term and AAV for both.
Second one, and thank you. How do Jeff Petrie and Mikhail Granlund fit into your plan going forward for this season?
Well, Jeff Petrie is a huge part of the plan to answer on his part first. I mean, he's our second pair right defenseman behind Chris Letang and plays massive minutes for the group. I know our staff was out to see him last week in the Detroit area, and very impressed with the way his summer's coming together. Obviously had an injury last year during the season, which was costly for the team. I know Jeff quite well as a player because we played against him a ton, especially in his in the 2020-21 season where we played Montreal 10 times in the regular season and another 7 in the playoffs, and got to see firsthand what he was capable of, especially at that time. So a great athlete, and that's been him his whole life. And I think even as he gets to 36 years old, there's still a good amount of fuel left in the tank for Jeff. As it pertains to Granlund, I think we've talked about it in the past year. It's the way that I look at it is he's been a very good player in the NHL for a long time. Obviously, I don't think last year, especially coming over in the trade from a production standpoint, went the way that he wanted. I think it's incumbent on us and on him to work together to get it back to the level that he can expect. And he's a versatile player that can play all 3 forward positions, can play penalty kill, power play, and has done that well in his career. So I'd like to focus with Michael on how we're moving ahead and moving ahead productively with him, so we can have him be play his potential as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Last one,
Kyle, I believe the last time that you did speak with us here, you said when it came to Tristan, to Jason Zucker, and Brian Dumoulin, that you would like to have a decision made by this past Wednesday so that you would have an idea of where you were entering today. When it came to Tristan, when was the determination made? Not necessarily that you were going to definitely be able to bring him back, but that was the best decision for the Penguins to bring him back.
I think the determination for me, so last week, I'm just trying to get the days exactly right, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I went out to Edmonton to meet with him. That was a key part for me, and I mean, I know what everyone thinks of Tristan inside the facility. I felt it was incumbent on me for me to learn about him, and for he and Hannah to have a chance to get to know me personally. Once I took the information that I had from our goaltending department, our coaching staff, our player personnel department, everyone else in the facility about his character, added my own short evaluation to it, and at that point we were firmly engaged with his camp. So I'm going right when we were flying out, the days are kind of escaping in terms of what day it actually is of the week, but we met with them early in the week in Nashville and exchanged offers, and then we're able to work with Craig Oster and the folks at Newport to come to a conclusion there. The other 2 were a little bit more fluid in terms of going in today, and they were really, in the end, from my perspective, like the coaching staff, a lot of the people in the facility were big fans of bringing them back. I just felt that, very openly it was a chance for us to, with me coming in, to change the mix a little bit as well. And, the Riley Smith move sort of made it tough to bring back Jason, and then just with the Graves thing, when signing Ryan here today, it was just a chance to make the group a little bit younger as well. So that was the determination there.
Jeff, on your one?
Hey Kyle, you discussed that you've come here about improving the bottom 6. What do you feel you did today as far as the grit with the bottom 6 and the physicality, even adding a guy like Graves into that mix too?
Yeah, I think Ryan obviously he brings a lot of size to the group, but more importantly, he's been very effective at playing against very, very tough competition in New Jersey and going back to Colorado. So we feel that'll help. He can complement and play with either Chris or Jeff, whomever the coaching staff feels are best, and usually they'll play with everybody by the end. With regards to the bottom 6, I mean, we've had Noel Acciari in the past. You know what he brings. He's going to be extremely physical every night, able to kill penalties, able to chip in and score as well. But in terms of the toughness that he brings, I think it's undisputed in the way that he plays. Whether he'll put any part of his body on the line to block shots, will be very welcome here at even strength and on the penalty kill. And Nieto is a player that, my previous position, we always looked at and tried to acquire and just couldn't get it across the line. And we were happy today to do that. He brings great speed, defensively responsible, able to kill penalties, able to chip in as well. And so it's trying to find the right fits for the coaching staff and what they want and what we all believe in, which they're competitive. They've got good speed. They're defensively reliable and have defensive utility, and they're able to chip in and think the game offensively and give us a little bit of offensive push in the bottom 6. And Eller is kind of, he'll think that spot here, especially as we roll along, rounding of the top 9 at center is hugely important. And everyone here would be very familiar with Lars Eller's game from his time in Washington. He's got a great relationship with Todd Reardon on our staff, who coached him in Washington and won together there, championship. And he's somebody that we had keyed in on early in free agency, and then Mike Sullivan, myself, and Todd spoke with him today on the phone right afternoon, and kind of were able to share with him what our plan would be and where we were going to go with him and what we would expect from him. And that was just, we're happy that was a great fit for us, because that's a really hard position to fill. Someone that can come in and can play that role, but also wants to play that role, especially on a team like ours in the way that it's constructed. So that today, there's the Tristan and Ryan Graves are longer term and higher AAV, but the Eller signing we felt was really, really key for us. And that's one we're very happy about as well.
Dave in the middle.
Kyle, there was a lot of talk on the outside, at least this afternoon, about you guys making a serious run at Eric Karlsson.
Yep.
Was that accurate, and if so, is it still viable?
I think that anytime, I think largely as we get to know each other better here, I think when there's a player like that comes available, I think it wouldn't, especially with the core group and how special that core group of people is in the room, both the coaching staff and the players and the group that surrounds the team. Anytime a player like that becomes available or talked about, I think it's incumbent on me to reach out and see if there's a fit there for us. And that was the way that I viewed that entire situation. I don't want to get too much into it, because I think some of it is private and it doesn't involve a player that's ours, so I don't want to cross any league lines and upset anybody. But at the same time, I think that anytime there's a player of that caliber that comes available throughout my time here, especially in this next stretch, it's probably realistic to think that we'll be involved, or see if there's a way that we can be involved and add them to our group.
Danny?
Kyle, yesterday Ryan Palin didn't receive a qualifying offer and then he signed with Philadelphia today. Was there any particular reason regarding injury, or was it more so just on ice performance that you wanted to look in a different direction?
I think when we built it out, I think we played against Ryan when I was in Toronto. He was in Montreal, so I'm familiar with him as a player. I think it's just one of these issues with the way that the system is here, in that he was arbitration eligible. We knew what the arbitration case was going to be, and for that position and in that role, we were, in order to build out the roster in the other ways that we wanted to, we felt like we were going to have about half of what his case was presenting, which is around what he got from Philadelphia, which is great for Ryan. I don't know him personally, but people around the group say he's a wonderful person. So I'm very happy for him, and it's worked out in a place that's going to have opportunity for him. And so we'll see him lots now, and it'll be. But that was the decision. There was we wanted to kind of use with that spot on the roster, have it be between $775,000 and $1 million, and he was going to get more than that.
Last one, Rob.
Kyle, I may be wrong on this, but I have you guys at 12 forwards, 70, 3 goalie, and $1.5 million over, give or take. Do you anticipate getting under the cap being something you do by having only 2 goalies on the roster? And if not, how else do you do that?
Oh, I mean, there's a number of ways we could do that. I think when you say you have us under, you probably mean cap friendly.
No, actually.
Oh, you run your own cap system. That's impressive.
I'm bad at math, that's why
No, you're good. You're good. No, that's impressive. I think for us, we don't see ourselves as over the cap right now with what we have planned internally, and I think us sharing that isn't constructive to the competitive nature of the sport. But we have a number of ways that we're compliant right now to start the year, and we'll certainly, we have to be compliant by first day. We see ourselves as well under an accruing